and why the best brands don't try to please everyone. And to do that, I've got with me, if you want to introduce yourselves.
I'm Stephen. I'm one of the co-founders of Beast/Beast Farm.
I'm Natalie. I'm one of the co-founders of Deviant Skincare.
I'm Sinead Flood. I'm the founder of Child Jewelry.
I think a lot of people in the room can relate to the lockdown story. Marco, so you've spoken about having a unique design DNA with Lanx. How do you protect that as the brand continues to grow?
Yeah, so launched the brand 8 years ago, and since day one, everything we've done has been bespoke, unique to Lanx, bar a few designs or collabs. So it's been an important part of what we've done. So we call it a design DNA. So it's kind of like when you see the shoe, you know it's ours. So it's really important to us. We do a lot of sort of trademark registrations on names, on designs, on words. So yeah, it's kind of the boring stuff, I suppose. So that's what we do. Costs quite a bit, but
Yeah.
I suppose we've had a few instances where we've had to stop other brands doing our designs. So I guess if you've got that paperwork done, it stacks up.
How far in advance do you start looking at those trademarks before?
Well, probably about 3 or 4 months before we actually launch the product, I would say. Probably should do it earlier, but
Yep.
1,000 things to do. So, because not sometimes the product doesn't always actually come out. We'll sample and design a lot of stuff, and then when it comes to sort of ordering it or making it, we'll decide, you know what, we're going to call this, or business isn't quite where it needs to be to bring this product out. So yeah, we should probably do it a lot earlier, 12 months, but the reality is 3 or 4 months, I would say.
Well, I think we all wish we could do stuff earlier.
Yeah,
Never
sure.
seems to be the way, does it? Stephen, so sports nutrition is dominated by some big players, I think you agree. But what made you feel there was a gap worth going after?
So yeah, in the UK market, sports nutrition is massively dominated by a handful of multinational brands, your go-tos. However, we did feel there was a gap for a heavy influencer-led brand that offered high-quality products.
Yeah.
So all the founders of Beast, there's 5 of us in total. We all have a background in some kind of sport, so Eddie Hall, the world's strongest man. So we wanted to make products that helped people perform better, that used cutting edge ingredients, the latest technology, things like that. And we felt there wasn't really a strong British brand that offered both of those things. So we wanted to make high performing products for people who wanted to perform at the best. And we felt that gap was there for us to take. So Eddie's got a huge reach in the millions on socials. But if you look at our products, they stack up there with the cutting edge products on the market. And that was kind of quite a big gap that we felt needed to be filled. There are a lot of off-the-shelf products out there that you can pick up, but we didn't want to offer that. We wanted to offer the best products that we'd use. So we don't make anything that we wouldn't use ourselves. So, yeah.
And just out of interest, since Sidemen Inside got released, did you see a surge in sales from that?
Unfortunately not. I did watch it, and I kind of got addicted to it pretty quick. But it was good exposure for us. And then off the back of that, Eddie's now fighting Tommy Fury next month. So again, that's just more brand awareness for us. So yeah, I can't argue with that.
Amazing. And Natalie, I've got here that I'm obsessed with Caroline Hirons, so this is great. That you were featured in her kit in 2021 and 2023. So you built this with no investment, no team, and no paid marketing. What did those constraints force you to figure out, and do you think they made that brand stronger?
So I started at 21, and we had £2,000, and that most of that went onto the product itself. So the website was all done on our own, the photography, even like the packaging design, which at the time did not look good. Like, we've upgraded it since then. But I think not having the external pressure from investors allowed us to create a really strong brand identity. And within that allowed us to create formulas that may have cost a little bit more than the industry average. And with that, and especially again, this was like 8 or 9 years ago, this was before skincare became so saturated, there wasn't many niche brands on the market that were offering products that were fragrance-free or that didn't have essential oils or were catering to acne-prone or sensitive skin. So I feel like it wasn't a constraint in terms of brand identity, but I do think without investment and without kind of doing paid advertising, you do get to a point where you're wearing so many hats that things are kind of going to fall to the waistline. You kind of have to pick and choose what that is. And I think if you are someone that is starting a business and it's maybe just you on your own and you don't have a team, is get to a point where you invest in the things that you either really struggle with or are really going to push the business forward.
And Sinead, so you've landed features in Cosmopolitan and Elle, which is amazing. Was that the result of a strategy, or did the product just find the right people?
I think initially that's such a thing for fashion brands. You want to be seen in those places. Does it drive revenue? I'm not sure. But I think it just is one of those where it's like, here's, see it, people recognize you and associate you with those platforms. That was mainly a result of, I think initially, just the product landing and being really great, and the editors kind of clocking onto it and being like, this is a new product, and features in like shopping lists. And then we did have some kind of founder interviews, which were much more strategy led. So it was a case of working with someone who did marketing and PR for us. And we kind of reached out and said, could we have more of a feature on the brand, a founder led one? So yeah, so we got quite a lot of that. And I think it works in your favor because it helps create that full circle brand recognition, I think.
It's also nice to have the logos on the site and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Marco, what's the hardest part of making the case for quality in a market where so much of the conversation still comes back to price?
I mean, it's for us. We know who our target audience is, so I wouldn't say it was difficult to make that argument because we know what our customers want. So because we've gone through a few cycles of thinking who we know our customer is, but now it's very data led, and so we know that they're sort of 40 years old up, and they want a fantastic product. They want something that's built to last. They want something that the company can repair and look after. So we offer that service in house. So I think just as a brand, just really recognizing and honing in on who our customers are and what they want, and giving them that product and information. So as long as you're not trying to go mass market and trying to sell a shoe to everyone, then it's fairly straightforward, I would say, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to appeal to everyone either. You're never going to make everyone happy. So
Correct.
Stephen, so you've talked before about hiring people better than you and learning to delegate. What was the moment you realised you genuinely could not do it all yourself?
So prior to Beast, many of the founders of Beast were involved in another business. And that really kicked off just as COVID started. And me and my business partner, Matt, who's in the audience, we thought this is really going to be bad for us, but the opposite happened. And things really took off. And I think as two founders who run a business from the beginning, you're doing everything, which has been said before. You're doing every single job in the business. And our first hire was actually a warehouse member of staff, which took a lot of our plate in regards to the jobs that had to be done. You had to get the product out to the customer, goods had to come in, goods had to go out, wholesale orders and so on. So that freed up a lot of time for us to allow us to grow the business in other aspects, plan marketing campaigns, product development, and so on. And then we've really carried that over into Beast. So from day one, we had 3 warehouse members of staff in the warehouse as soon as we launched. And that allowed us to really focus on building the brand, building the company. And then from there, I've mentioned this before, but we've been selling on Amazon since 2012, and it was relatively simple to do. So one of our first hires was an Amazon expert / strategist. And she's much better at Amazon than I ever was. And it's a full-time job for her now. And our Amazon has quadrupled in the last 12 months. We could do it, but we had to get someone much better than us. I've said this before, I'm not particularly skilled in any one aspect. We were just good at everything. But I think it's super important to get experts in specific fields who can take those jobs off you so you can focus on the bigger picture, basically. So I think it's really important. And also, I think as founders, you kind of struggle a little bit to delegate because you want everything done your way or you're so set in your ways. And that can be quite daunting at the beginning. But I think once you've done it, you realise how much you can leverage that extra time you've got, and it allows you to really grow.
Yeah, it's having the trust in the team, isn't it, and building that great team around you. Natalie, so we're championing the North today. There's so much stuff in London and we want to start bringing it up here. Don't let my southern accent deceive you. Was building in the North and Northern suppliers always the intention, and what has it meant for the brand?
No, it wasn't always the intention. This was kind of the first job that I ever had. So I think I was a little naive coming out of university and kind of like not realising, especially in beauty, how much of it is down south. Even just networking, like there's so little up here. Well, there was, I mean, it's getting better now. So it wasn't initially intentional, but kind of as time has gone on, we've chosen like a manufacturing leads, we've chosen packaging designers and packaging printers and leads, and we make a conscious effort to kind of support that infrastructure in the North, and to kind of support the ecosystem up here to try and kind of encourage talent to stay here as well. Like there's so many, I'm originally from Lancaster, there's so many talented students that come through but don't stay because there's not many opportunities. So I just think if you can, it is worth doing, trying to connect and work with people in the local area.
Definitely, and it saves you time from travelling on the Vanity West Coast, which is always positive. Okay, I've got a few quick fire questions for you all now. I'm going to start with you, Marco, because normally I start this side and then everyone's answers gets taken up. So what's the one brand decision that you made that changed everything?
Deciding that investing in very highly polished and expensive campaign videos wasn't really needed anymore. And just doing raw behind the scenes style footage, our conversion on Meta and Instagram, or Meta went through the roof. And just realizing that you can do it pretty bootstrapped and on your mobile phone most of the time.
Sinead?
Yeah, I think for us, it's leaning into what really connects with people. So emotional-led relatability. We kind of lean into like nostalgia a lot in our content. And I also kind of love to bring people into the world of like how we're doing things or where the design process started. And I think that creates a lot more sentimentality around a purchase, especially with jewellery. So yeah.
Fab, Natalie?
Yeah, I think similarly, kind of founder-led content and kind of allowing people to see behind the scenes and creating that sense of community with your customers, where there kind of there's an emotional investment in the brand, not just buying a product, but kind of a part of the whole process. That has, you know, we have like a 60% return customer, you know, so it's creating that kind of community and genuine community as well, not kind of just saying it.
Stephen?
Well, going last pretty difficult because everyone's already said everything. I think for us, as I said, we've run businesses previously. So when we launched Beast nearly 3 years ago, I wouldn't say anything's massively changed for us. We'd already learned from previous experience, but to be fair, that it's changed a lot recently, and it's something that we do need to do with more founder-led stuff, more behind the scenes. But I think we've got the platform to do that with Eddie, so that's going to be something that we're going to focus on.
I'm going to start with you this time round, so it's fair. One piece of advice for a founder who's trying to serve everyone right now.
I think it depends what you want your business to be. So we want to make a high quality product for a lot of people. So it's difficult really, because I think it comes down to the founder. Not everyone is going to like expensive shoes or bespoke jewelry or expensive cosmetics. So it depends who you want your customers to be. So I think that needs to be a decision, like, and then you just have to focus on one of those things, because I think if you try and catch two rabbits, you're going to catch none.
Amazing. Natalie?
I think focusing on a pain point when it comes to product development, regardless of the industry, is so crucial. I think don't be scared to be niche, because people are seeking a solution to a problem that they have. So if you have something that solves that, or there's something out there that's not like that, or maybe it is, but it doesn't have a certain ingredient or something like that, it's look at the pain point first. And I think that's really helpful.
I think for me, it would be don't waste your time developing so many new things if the formula that you've found works. So like find your core products, find your bread and butter, what's going to generate revenue, and then just double down on that more and more and more, and just get deep amounts of stock of that and just kind of try and replicate that in some way or build on that, I think.
Got the hard one now.
I think as your businesses grow, for me, what I found hardest, because I'm chief brand officer, was just the staff understanding the brand from day one. So I worked hard to create a brand Bible, or call it a brand Bible or a brand deck, whatever you want to call it, something that sits on everyone's desk and they can refer to, because it's tricky when you're sort of handing over the social media and the campaigns to other people, and they sort of maybe get the look and feel of the brand wrong or the aesthetic, you know. So I invested probably a year in getting everything out of my head into a 300-page document, which they love and hate at the same time.
I think that's it though, isn't it? Like, you don't have to please everyone, and if you really understand the brand and the team really understands the brand, it's going to translate to the audience. Well, thank you so much, guys, for starting off the first panel of the day. Thanks, guys.